Hello everybody, welcome back. You are looking at Glory. Glory is a 24 by 36 inch gallery wrapped canvas, and I just signed her. She was created from an old painting that had a similar composition and even a similar sort of color palette. The original painting had this horse head in profile, and it was sort of backlit, and there was like fog and other sorts of things coming out of or from the horse's profile. And it was this sort of green gold color and some reds and oranges originally. I took this one into Procreate and created a pretty dynamic resource from it using a whole bunch of different floral photos. And I'll share my resource in the comments, or not in the comments. I'll share my resource as an attachment along with an image of the painting as it was previous to this rework, just so that you can get an idea. The resource is not a reference photo for those of you who haven't had a chance to participate in the last two real-time events about these resources that I'm creating. It's a starting point for ideas, and I think if you look at it, you will see all sorts of collisions of ideas in the resource that showed up in this painting, but in different sorts of formats, not necessarily where they were in the resource to begin with. For instance, the pink at the top upper, in the resource photo, it was, where's my finger? It was sort of over right here in the resource photo. So I am using the resource as a starting point and then allowing my intuitive process to take over. And in this particular painting, I created multiple resources as I worked my way through it to try and problem solve or figure out collisions and shapes and whatnot for inclusion. And what I also did was go back to working in my old format where I was actually collecting greenery and other things and using them from life. So let me come in closer here so that you can see what's going on. The darks in this painting are all very chromatic, as are my high key areas. The paint is really, really loose. I got some wonderful big brushes. Look at those swooshy marks that I was able to get with those brushes. The paint is super, super loose. Lots of layers, negative space painting, adding shapes, picking forms out. As they happen when I'm layering all of these different bits of organic material. There's some pencil in here underneath everything too. It shows up in some areas. There's not as much pencil as usual though. I got really caught up in painting this one because of those new brushes and the fact that they were so big. I was enjoying the newness of that, or the freshness. Here is another thing that I noticed that I just want to point out is the color palette on this one. So it's primarily complements, with the majority of the piece being an ochre-y, yellowy green, coupled with a deep plum. So we know that those two colors are complements because they sit opposite each other on the color wheel. But the other things, or the other colors that are dense in this piece, are greens and reds. So what happened here is sort of a sliding complementary color scheme where I used majority of my color fell from the red to the violet wing of the color wheel, and then opposite that from green to yellow. So I just wanted to point that out. Your complements don't have to be a strict one-to-one relationship. You can go with a sliding scale if you wish. The other thing that I tried out with this piece was just laying out about half of the colors that I usually start with. So I didn't fill my whole palette box, the whole perimeter of it like I usually do. I thought if I just laid out those purples and those yellows to begin with, along with a few other select colors, that it would really help me balance that relationship. But what I found after I got into it a little bit was that I really yearned to be able to pick up little dabs of some of my favorites, and they weren't laid out. So it ended up being more of an interruption than a perk. But such is life, right? That's how we learn. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this one. Happy creating, everyone. Happy painting.